Hello and welcome to Sidelines, an inside look at Cornell athletics. I'm David Keating, and joining me today we have Todd Kennett, the Spirit of 57 Director of Rowing and the men's head coach of heavyweight rowing here at Cornell. Welcome, Todd.
How you doing?
Thanks for being here. So, how did you get into rowing? That's an interesting story.
I was a walk-on in the fall of my freshman year of '88. I came to Cornell and I was in the registration line for a PE class. And my roommate was a baseball player, and I was probably only 6'2" at that point, still growing a little bit. And the rowing coach pulled him out of the line and wanted him to row. And he goes, "Well, no, I'm already a baseball player, but my roommate here," and he points to me, he'd like to try." And I was like, and I had gotten the little pamphlet in the mail. My mom actually had looked at it, and she said, "You should try this rowing thing." And I was like, "Well, you know." And all of a sudden, there's the coach, and next thing you know, I'm signing up, and I'm down at the boathouse, and there you go. I was a walk-on.
So how has the sport and the program changed from when you were a student here at Cornell to now as head coach?
In a lot of ways it has, in a lot of ways it hasn't. The water's still the same. You're on Cayuga Lake, but at the same time, the technology in terms of the equipment has changed immensely. Newer, faster, lighter boats, newer kinds of oars, and the training has vamped up to a way higher level. The amount of time we spent training, it was significant, but when I look at what the athletes are doing today, it's a whole new ball game. Where they're doing some doubles, 2 practices a day. They're up in the weight room with Coach Howley a lot. A number of different things go on that allow them more time, and we have way more equipment. The amount of equipment we have now is probably 4 or 5 times what we had when I was a rower here.
Wow. So before you became head coach of the heavyweight team here, you were a very successful lightweight coach here at Cornell. Can you talk a little about the differences between the two sports and some of the challenges that they both pose?
Obviously, lightweights have to make weight, so the guys are constantly on the fine edge of some would say, just really trying to be ultra lean. You know, we're trying to get guys down at that 5 or 6% body fat all the time, and it's hard. You know, it's something that they have to monitor constantly, and the Cornell dining halls are stupendous, so it makes it a little bit harder in terms of self-control, but I think that they also allow them the ability to eat. So there's a lot of nutrition that goes on. I think that's a thing that we pick up with the heavyweights, though, where it has allowed me to look at heavyweights in a new light, where guys before didn't worry about what they ate and they weren't worried about body fat. We have started worrying about that a little bit and saying, you know, hey, how much body fat should these guys actually be carrying? So I think it's allowed us to be a leaner, tighter crew, the heavyweight crew. It's brought them to a new level of fitness, and I think that that's helped us a bit in the last couple of years.
Now, we've talked a little bit on this program about the renovation of the boathouse. And can you tell me what that means for your program and Cornell rowing in general for the future?
This boathouse, I'm down there all the time, so I just see it in minuscule steps along the way, and it's coming along nicely. And at first I was like, well, you know, okay, it's nice, new lockers. As I walk in on this past weekend, we had a big regatta. Our women and our lightweights were racing there, and I walked in and we had it all as cleaned up as it could be at this state. And I was like, wow, we have a facility that's going to be second to nobody's. In terms of the functionality, in terms of the training amount, in terms of allowing us to display the traditions that Cornell rowing is one of the oldest sports at Cornell, and the boathouse has so much history and tradition, from A.D. White pulling on the clock tower bells himself when they won the IRA back in yesteryear, the first time they won, and to all the different oars, the people that have rowed in the Olympics, Bill Stowe winning the Olympic gold medal in '64, a number of other Olympic medals that came from Cornellians. All of that tradition is stacked up right now, and some of it's in boxes and closets, and this is going to give us a chance to actually display it and let recruits and alumni and just other teams see what we're about and who we are. It also, in terms of the amount of training, gives us a whole different category of training, where before we were stuffed into a few little rooms down there. Now I can take 3 teams and put them down there at the same time. We saw it, 80 kids in one room the other day working out, and there was plenty of room. I could still coach within there. I could hear myself talk. It was just, it's a whole new ball game. Coach Howley now can come down to us as we're lifting, which means I get more water time, so I can keep the guys on the water for an extra 20 minutes. He meets us as we come off the water. Here's the weight equipment, go to town, guys. You know, it just allows us to train more efficiently and get better results, hopefully.
With the new boathouse and with this being your third season, I believe, as head coach at the heavyweight level, where do you see Cornell heavyweight rowing in 5 years from now?
Hopefully I see it winning, I'm not going to really have much of an answer other than to say that we're going to just keep working to be ultra competitive. I'd like to take some positive steps in terms of upping our recruiting, but still our walk-ons always fuel. We're not nearly the percentage of walk-ons that we were in yesteryear, but we still have some great walk-on guys, so I hope that we can continue that tradition because it's a strong one and it adds a good mix when you have somebody come in who's never rowed before and these guys that have been rowing, and all of a sudden this kid sits down and rips off a time and the other kid's like, whoa, it makes them step up their game. So I like the walk-on component a lot. I hope that continues. Our women's team is coming along really nicely under Coach Gaiman, and with the new boathouse, it's going to allow them a little bit more equal just facility time and facility area. So I like to think the whole Cornell crew is on a rise and continue not just sort of being in that middle area, but hopefully we can start pushing into the top a lot more consistently. With the lightweights we did for 3 years in a row there, we won the title. And the heavyweights seemed to be last year, we were third in the country. So we're right there. We're on that. We're knocking on the door, but I'd like to see us a little bit more consistently there.
So you mentioned, or we mentioned a little bit about this season. What have your goals been for this season, both coming into it and now getting down to the home stretch of the season and nationals?
Last year we graduated 7 of 9. And that group was a pretty interesting group because we came out of nowhere. There were a bunch of guys that had been in second boats and third boats for a lot of parts of their career, and then it all came together a lot for them in their senior year. And about everything was right. We did a lot of things really well and really right, and we raced really hard at the IRA, and we ended up third. Some of it, you could say, was lucky. I believe in making luck, so the guys went and created some great lucky things, and it was able to work out. We graduated them. Right now we have a really young crew. The varsity consists of 4 sophomores, 4 juniors, and a senior. The senior happens to be the Commodore, Colin Smith. So it was really young, and made me really nervous for a while. As I see times, and I take times from them throughout the spring now, I'm starting to see some really positive boat speed, and I'm starting to see the other boats rising up and starting to realize how much they have to do to fill the shoes of the guys that left. And I wish I could say we dominated this spring. We didn't. What are we, 5-3, I think, at this point, and sort of on that cusp of whether we're, in the grand final, the top 6 yet or not is yet to be seen. But I see some times that are better than what we did in past years. I also see some serious flaws of just youthful flaws. Oh no, here comes a problem, and instead of just, okay, here's the problem, here's how we solve it, guys get a little tight and panicky. But hopefully that as they grow and they mature and get a little bit more just experience underneath them, they'll be better.
So I want to get you out of here on this. How do you balance winning every weekend, which is clearly a goal, with trying to peak and have guys peak at the end of the season for a national championship?
I love to win. I hate to lose. And I love to watch my guys win even more, and I hate to watch them lose even more. So it's really terrible when we lose. I don't want to pretend it's not. But in the grand scheme of things, I have to take things step by step, knowing I can't just rush this process. If I just try to have them row super high and race for every single race for every bit that they're worth, I'll be going too fast. It's like trying to shift from first to fifth, and if you do, you just grind or spin or putter out and die. So it's really important that we take this step by step. And some years you can take more steps in a week than others. And right now, I've had to look a lot this year at where are we going, and just staying true to that. And hopefully it works. It's one of those games you're always playing. I had one year with the lightweights. We were ranked 8th going into the sprints, and we won it, and then we went on to win the IRAs. So we basically lost almost all our races, but then we won. But I knew every single time we lost, okay, we lost by 1.5 seconds. Here's where we didn't do well, and this is what we can fix. And then we'd fix that, and then something else wouldn't be quite right. But as we stepped the steps, eventually it all came together. So by the sprints, we were able to win the league championship, the Ivy championship, and then they went on to the IRA where they dominated. So that's one of those things that I think it's important that I look at the entire development, and not just try to rush it all the time. So you want to tear your hair out, and there's many nights I find myself screaming at myself driving home going, oh, what am I doing? But then you know, it's the end product that matters. So you keep your fingers crossed. You know, you hope that everybody's on the same page and doing the same thing.
Well, thanks so much for joining me. We appreciate the time, and good luck the rest of the season.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching Sidelines. Tune in next week. Let's go Red.